is the me, GamePeng21, and today, well, we're going to be looking at this, and this is a different setup than what you are currently used to, because I am doing a little bit of a collab, if you couldn't already tell. We're getting things ready for this little intro bit, and some of this might get cut out. Alright, yeah, well, today I am joined by...
Sanity.
Yes. I've talked about him before on the channel. We've covered very similar topics, but today we're going to be covering this video where I've played. I don't know if you've ever played BattleBit.
I've heard of it,
Okay.
and I heard that Mischief briefly lost his channel because of the game.
Yes, he did. He did end up losing his channel. But someone else decided to chime in on BattleBit not being Battlefield, which everyone's been comparing it to. I've been wanting to dig into this video for a while, but just never had the means, methods, or want to do it. But since we're doing random videos and recording stuff anyway, I wanted to see if we could maybe get a little bit of an interesting opinion on this. So.
All right. Well, I am ready, hail, hearty, and ready to go.
All right, let's get started then.
With the recent release of BattleBit Remastered, I've been receiving a ton of comments on my YouTube videos, primarily because I am a channel centered around Battlefield, saying that, oh, Enders, just stop playing 2042, just play BattleBit instead. It's a better Battlefield. And I think people are commenting that for the wrong reasons, because I don't necessarily think people are looking at how the games actually play. They're just focusing on how much fun they're having and saying the game is better because of that. Realistically, BattleBit Remastered is very different from Battlefield mechanically and gameplay-wise. And the reason I need to make this video is I feel like people are sort of overlooking that and they aren't understanding why I'm not jumping on the BattleBit Remastered train initially. It's because BattleBit Remastered is not for players like me. And believe it or not, I actually heavily prefer the mechanics in Battlefield 2042 compared to BattleBit. BattleBit is a milsim game. Battlefield 2042 is not. So without further ado, let's just jump into all of the big differences between BattleBit and Battlefield 2042, why the games are very similar and at the same time very dissimilar, why I prefer certain things, and why people that are saying BattleBit is a better Battlefield are actually wrong, but maybe not entirely wrong. They just don't understand why they're actually saying it.
Okay, I think that whole intro kind of very much contradicts itself in a lot of ways.
That went in 50 different directions at once, and I'm not sure which one to follow.
Exactly, and that's why
what the fuck is happening in this
you can kind of see why we're talking about this today. My biggest
with Call of Duty fans.
No, this guy's a Battlefield fan, but yeah.
Oh no, I can very barely tell the difference between the two games. I'm sorry.
But as someone,
they're shooter games. That's all I know.
Yeah, as someone who's actually played a lot of BattleBit gameplay, I can definitely say that they have different mechanics, but there are a lot of the same mechanics that exist across both.
Yeah. That's at least from what I've seen. There's a lot of very obvious similarities between the two, but obviously there's bound to be some differences because, they're two different games. They got two different fucking groups here.
Yeah, and one thing that he'll bring up eventually is he'll bring up Squad, and he'll bring up the fact that it's also a milsim game. He doesn't realize, or at least he doesn't bring up in this, that Squad came from Project Reality, and Project Reality was a Battlefield mod. So there's a big reason as to why BattleBit is being connected to Squad and then Project Reality and then back to Battlefield, because Battlefield was this huge game. They're like, oh, we're gonna redefine it, we're gonna make this game just the best Battlefield that we can, and then it just completely and utterly just did not do anything throughout that whole thing. So
if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel. And let's just get some very obvious things out of the way first. I think people are saying BattleBit Remastered is a better Battlefield game because they're actually having fun in BattleBit Remastered. And you can't really say the same thing.
Wait, hang on, hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up.
yeah, again, there's a reason... There's a reason why we're talking about this.
I need a fucking minute. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I need a... Wow!
Yeah. I only now realize, like, because I've watched this at least 3 times now, because I've been trying to get this video out. But
you have no idea the kind of whiplash that gave me. That gave me the kind of whiplash like I just got hit by like 10 tons of bricks right in my forehead. What the fuck?
It's like, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people are doing this, but the first big one is like people are having fun with the game. It's like, so people are not allowed to have fun with the game now? Jesus Christ. Take a breath. Take a breath.
I'm sorry. It caught me so off guard. I was not expecting that. Oh my god.
Yeah, again, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, because that is the stupidest point to bring up. It's like a game that actually functions and does everything that we want this other game that we're comparing it to does. Gee, I wonder why people are talking about this.
Okay, I've caught my breath.
All right.
Oh my god.
You good to continue?
Yes.
All right.
Battlefield titles. And people are totally entitled to that. Because I think BattleBit Remastered provides people what they want, fun-wise, from a new Battlefield title, and they haven't felt that for years. But when people say BattleBit Remastered is strictly just...
Yeah?
Hang on. That is supposed to be a problem how?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you started the video by talking about, oh my god, people are calling BattleBit like the better version of Battlefield, and I don't agree with that. And then here you are basically literally listing off the many reasons why people are stating that it's a better version of Battlefield. I'm sorry, what the fuck are you... Whose side are you on?
Exactly. He's saying that it's not a Battlefield...
Whose dick are you stroking? I'm wondering what you're trying to go for here.
Yeah, again, this is the intro bit where he's just basically saying, oh, these are all the reasons why people are arguing that this is a better Battlefield game, without realizing the point of, like, that's why people are calling it the better Battlefield game.
Exactly.
They're not comparing it one-to-one with Battlefield. They're just saying, hey, this game does Battlefield... the feel, the look, well, maybe not the look, but the feel, the gameplay loop and stuff better than what the AAA studio is doing. Which I will also mention, BattleBit was made by 3 guys.
I'm sorry, what?
You didn't know this? It was made by literally 3 dudes.
Wow, that's actually genuinely impressive. Props to them. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and for $15, they said that they made enough money off of, like, the launch day sales to give, like, this at least 5 years of content, from what they've said.
Jesus!
Yeah, it made a lot of money! I remember I covered the initial tweet of people dogging on this game for, like, oh, the graphics suck, therefore the game sucks. I'm like, dude, this looks like a dope-ass game, and I will 100% praise it to the moon.
Listen, I'm not one for shooter games, okay? I haven't played a shooter game in fuck knows how long. I think literally the last one that I played was, well, not counting Ultra Kill if people are going to be counting Ultra Kill as a shooter, but...
They do.
Well, okay. If we're going to be counting Ultra Kill as a shooter, then... Well, still, it's been at least like a month since I've last touched Ultra Kill, but that's mainly because of Elden Ring brain rot. But even still, the last like multiplayer shooter I should probably specify was Team Fortress 2, which was the last time I played it was a year and a half ago. So it has been forever since I've last played any kind of multiplayer shooter. BattleBit looks like a game that I would get a massive kick out of.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I can say from personal experience.
I am not one for modern shooters.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I can say from
I'm usually not a fan of them.
From personal experience, I have like shorts and recordings on Metal as well as the YouTube channel where one of the funniest things you can do on that is you can yell at the enemy team when you're dead. It is the best mechanic.
You can just scream at the enemy.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
No, stop! Don't kill me.
That has led to a plethora of funny moments.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to check those out. Oh my god.
Again, $15 on Steam, totally worth every penny.
$15.
Yeah. Anyway.
I might have to consider it. My god.
Anyway, moving on.
It's a better version of a Battlefield Battlefield game,
Oh,
that is where I
Yeah,
disagree.
that's my media
the
player
games
does
are
that.
extremely dissimilar mechanically. First of all, let me just point out some of the obvious things. BattleBit Remastered has no minimap in the game currently. BattleBit Remastered has a 2-stage healing system and bleeding, which drastically slows down gameplay, especially when you're getting shot at. On top of all of this, you have to manage your magazines. There are 2 different reloads you can do in BattleBit Remastered. This is obviously not in Battlefield. In BattleBit Remastered, you have to be careful to not drop magazines. You have to combine your magazines so that when you're reloading your weapon, you don't reload your weapon with a magazine that only has 1 bullet in it. And lastly, just so I don't drag this video
honestly,
on for 25
that sounds
minutes,
cool.
BattleBit Remastered doesn't have
that
any
requires you to
grenade
actually
mechanics.
think.
All of these...
Yeah, well, a lot of the stuff that he says, there is reasons for that. For number one, you don't have to combine your magazine. It is a completely optional thing that you can do because 9 times out of 10, the way that the magazine system works is that it will put the least amount of bulleted magazine at the end of the line. So you can load your magazines in that way, and that's still really cool. That's something that Squad doesn't even do, where you can't combine the 2 ammos of magazines together. But the one thing that I found very big issue with is that he says that there's no minimap. There is. Like, completely and utterly, there is a minimap. You just have to pull up an actual physical map onto your screen, and it covers about half of it. But it is still a minimap that is on your screen to be able to navigate the map, which is the problem that I have with that. It's like, yeah, there's no minimap vehemently on the HUD, but you have to pull it up in order to tactically use it.
Yeah, again, it's another case where you actually have to think about stuff, which is something that, honestly, I do want to see a little bit more in, like, modern shooters, because it's mostly just, like, spray and pray from what I've seen from a lot of modern shooters. I'd rather have a shooter that requires me to use my brain just a little bit more. It's one of the main reasons why I enjoy Ultra Kill. It requires me to use my brain to pull off some really crazy shit and, like, get through a level with a good rank. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I fucking love the game. That plus it's a huge dopamine rush. That makes me feel like I'm on crack half the time.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah.
that's besides the point. Okay?
Yeah.
I love games that require me to think, but also have a level of fun to them. Again, it's why I love Ultra Kill, and it's also why I've been getting heavily into Elden Ring, because, well, Souls games require me to fucking think. I can't just go in guns blazing. I have to figure out, this tactic didn't work, and I don't know how this attack works. You know what? I'm gonna see what the fuck I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, I will also say this video is slightly out of date, as they did have a couple of different updates for balancing and changes and stuff. One of the things that they did end up adding
well, I mean, to be fair, it was dated by by the guy stating that it was recently released. So
but but they also added a mechanic where you can actually heal with bandages now. So yeah, it not only stops the bleeding, but it also heals like 30 HP ish. So that can be helpful. So you don't have to rely too much on medics more. However, that mechanic only extends to the player, so medics are still very useful for healing other people, and healing like big groups of people, but they're not you don't have to like run to a medic immediately once you get shot at and once you have to heal yourself. So it does require you to use up bandages, so there's like a trade-off there. But at the end of the day, like that increases the speed of it. And he also says like, oh, it makes it slower. It's like, yeah, but the same thing is done in like Squad, and the same thing is done in Project Reality, and that was again a mod of the game of Battlefield. Like,
and I'm assuming he's going to bring those up, right?
I think so. I forget the specifics as to it, but we can continue.
The mechanics that I've just mentioned are both not in Battlefield and are classic milsim mechanics that drastically change and slow down gameplay. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm just pointing out the massive difference between Battlefield gameplay and BattleBit gameplay. They really cannot be compared when you're talking about these particular mechanics. I would compare BattleBit more closely to Squad, and that's very obvious because I believe BattleBit was actually based off of Squad. But what the developers of BattleBit have done here is they've essentially created a game that is kind of in the middle of all of these sorts of things. It's very similar to Battlefield in some aspects. It's very similar to Squad in some aspects. But in general, they've created a more accessible, arcadey, low-poly milsim game. That is what they've done here.
which is a cool idea.
Yeah, it's not only a cool idea, it's what they actually set out to do.
Yeah,
which is the thing.
Exactly what they were like. If that's the idea that he's getting from it, then very clearly, like that's kind of what they were going for, and I can definitely see that.
The thing is, that particular quote was essentially what the devs said when they were releasing the game. They wanted to make it the most accessible, like, shooter type game that they had, which is why they went with the graphics that they did, which is why they went with this that they did. And again, he brings up the point as to why people are comparing it. It's in the middle of everything else. It has a lot of stuff that it takes from Battlefield. It has a lot of stuff that it takes from Squad. It takes a lot of good mechanics, drops the bullshit, and just kind of makes it into one coherent experience.
Like, from what I'm hearing, it is basically like taking the best aspects of these different things about Battlefield, making them accessible, and then making them into a game.
Yeah, not just Battlefield, but like they said, Squad as well as a few other milsim type games. Like, that's literally what it is, and that's why again people are comparing it to Battlefield because they are very similar mechanically.
Very similar mechanics, and on top of that too, well, if that comparison is going to be made, and they see that it just feels better to them, then of course they're going to call it a better version.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take fucking Albert Einstein to figure this shit out.
It really doesn't.
Seen increased success from both Battlefield sucking and there being basically no FPS games out right now that are good at all. Obviously, Call of Duty sucks, Battlefield sucks, and Apex is sort of dying off slightly with its ranked system that doesn't work. So the market for FPS games was pretty much wide open for the taking, and all we needed was someone like the BattleBit people to come in and produce a well-executed product with things that actually worked at launch to give people some fun to have, and that's exactly what they've done. Now, in terms of why I'm not exactly jumping on the BattleBit train immediately like so many people are, is I'm just not satisfied by BattleBit's gameplay. I'm not interested in the milsim aspects of it. If they removed bleeding, added a minimap, and basically just made it a low-poly Battlefield game, I would be all over that game. And maybe in the future there will be custom servers where people remove the milsim aspects and separate communities branch off, much like they do in Battlefield. But until then,
well, I mean, hey, with some of the new mechanics that you mentioned earlier, maybe he will like it now. Yeah, although, considering the fact that bleeding still exists, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, no, and bleeding is not as bad as you would think it is. That's the thing he brings up in this. Is like, oh, it's a very terrible, bad mechanic, blah blah blah. But it's not. You bleed out a little bit. I've only bled out fully like once or twice, but that's only because I was on really really low health and I couldn't get the bandage off in time.
Right.
But there is like revive mechanics, and not only can like one person like the medic have to revive you, no, like anyone with bandages can revive you. It's just that the reviver for like a medic takes I think half, maybe even 1/3 as long, which makes sense because that's what their job is. Their job is to revive, their job is to heal and stuff. And he's like, oh, there's. I like also how he presents this argument of, this is what I don't like about this game. There's a lot of this shit here that I just like. All this stuff, if they removed all this, I might like it. And then brings up the fact that, like, oh, they could add custom servers. So you're telling me that you present this argument, and then you present the solution to that argument, and yet that is somehow a negative against the game?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
That is confusing as fuck.
Yeah.
And playing BattleBit for an extended period of time because I find the gameplay to become very tedious at some points. I'm not exaggerating when I say some of the healing literally takes like 8 seconds. You peek, you get shot, you're bleeding, okay, you have to bandage that, then okay, say you took a bunch of damage. Okay, now you have to sit there as a medic, or you have to find a medic, God forbid, if you're not playing medic in that game, and this can take a very long time. It can take anywhere between 5 and like 15 fucking seconds. And on top of that, BattleBit Remastered.
You don't have 5 seconds to fucking spare?
Yeah, exactly. And
how bad is your ADD, my guy?
Yeah, again, this is a little bit out of date, as you will get some health back when you heal with the bandages now. But you still should find a medic and like replenish that ammo-wise. But here, how is this any different than, say, in this gameplay, where in the last 10 to 15 seconds he got shot at, he was taking cover, and he was like waiting for his health to come back. Like that right there is
any different?
Yeah, it's like that right there is still the same amount of time. It's just that the other one requires like more steps, and you have to be around and teamwork wise.
And plus, in this case, it also requires. And plus, in this case, when it comes to BattleBit, it requires a level of like actual fucking teamwork, which is again a really cool fucking thing. I love teamwork aspects in these games.
Absolutely.
Again, that's kind of one of the main reasons why I kind of enjoyed Team Fortress 2, because it requires people to play certain classes and know how to actually juggle all these different classes together and play off of them. Like, if you don't have a good medic on your team, hopefully there's an engineer that's able to help out with some of the things there. If you don't have, like, you know, a good scout out there to kind of, like, be the hit-and-run guy, then hopefully there's someone out there that's able to deal with things. Maybe there's, like, a pyro that's willing to go in there in the front fucking lines. Like, at the end of the day, teamwork aspects in games are fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, I contribute sometimes as much to the team as I do other times. But there's definitely been times where we're like holding down a thing and I'm a support and I just toss out an ammo box and like, I'm gonna go get this, and pull out the LMG and just go, yeah. But then there's definitely other times where I have to be the medic, kind of reviving and healing people, and it's teamwork makes the dream work, essentially, is what we're getting at.
Yep, that's how the phrase goes.
Random gaming experience than Battlefield, because there is no minimap in the game, and there's even more complexity to the map design. There's more verticality. There are more windows and barriers and street corners and rooftops to worry about than Battlefield, even Battlefield 2042, has ever had. And on top of this, one of the maps, or I think a couple of the maps, have an entire separate underground tunnel system that you also have to worry about. So in some of these, 254 or even 128 player servers, it is substantially more of a random experience to play than Battlefield, and I am personally not interested in that.
Again, it just means that you have to use your brain a bit more.
Yeah. Also, by the way, he said 250 something players. Battlefield cannot support that.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if Battlefield can even support that shit.
Yeah, and again, he brings up the fact like, oh, there's no minimap. There is. You just have to pull it up. You have to actually look.
Pull it up. Use your fucking brain, moron.
Use your. There's like literally a button for it, and you can even remap the button if you have like buttons on your mouse, which I actually do. But yeah, and I also like how he says, oh, there's more complexity to the map design. That's a negative?
How?
Yeah, it's like, that's a negative? Excuse me? How? How is that a negative?
There's more verticality? Bruh, I love that shit. Again,
yeah.
Fucking ultra kill. Get me in on that.
Yeah, and it's really funny because he also hasn't brought up the one big thing where you can just destroy buildings as well in both games. In one of the maps in particular, there is literally you're fighting around a cooling tower for like a nuclear power plant. I've seen that shit, like a tank will roll up on it, blow it up, and that thing will go and basically cover a big portion of the center of the map, and people can use that, like the debris, to walk up onto some of the roofs of the surrounding buildings because of how that destruction works.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
I think one of the things Battlefield has always managed to do better than all of their competitors is they reach the limit of randomness / not randomness. And what I mean by that is Battlefield at 64 player count is at the limit of what one person can sort of manage with their individual skills. And you can see this very clearly in, my Battlefield gameplay. And I'm sure if I put a lot of time into BattleBit, I could execute the exact same thing. But maybe not, because I think in BattleBit, there's always just going to be that thing that you don't consider. And I think you can find that thing that you don't consider way more effectively in Battlefield because they give you the options and the tools to actually do that. In general, I just think Battlefield is a more skill-based game. And
I don't get that point.
That sounds like Cap. That sounds like a big fucking like oversized cap right there.
Absolutely. At that point, always confused me.
Motherfucker covering the sun with that level of cap.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
And the thing that I looked at is like, if you go back and look at the actual gameplay of both of them, it looks the same. Like he's playing the exact same way.
Yeah.
Like he's covering corners. He's looking at this, and he's also says, what was it? The things that you don't consider, you get that less in Battlefield versus BattleBit. Was his point?
It's something along those lines, I believe. Yeah.
My guy, no. I've played both. They are the same level.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, like they're the same level. It's just that one requires you to have. I guess he's talking about situational awareness in that. But if you're playing like a Battlefield milsim type arcadey bit, you should have better situational awareness than this.
Yeah, you shouldn't have the situational awareness of a fucking pebble, okay? Like, you should understand how shit works by now.
I also like how he kind of contradicted himself as well, where he just gets stuck on a door. It's like, I can't open, door is stuck.
Door stuck! Door stuck!
Yeah, it's... I don't get that point. 256 player, like, lobbies are dope. Like, the amount of...
Sounds like perfect amount of...
Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
You know, that's probably up for debate in the comments section, but through my experience as a very experienced and very good combined arms player, I would definitely say that Battlefield is the more skill-based title because it just gives you more information to make more informed decisions off of. And make no mistake, I'm still performing completely fine. I'm probably top 1% even in BattleBit. But it just sort of annoys me when I die.
Nice little
from
humble
the
brag
11th
there.
Floor.
Yeah, and that's my thing. He's saying, "Oh, I still perform the exact same." So
what the fuck's the problem?
Yeah, what is your problem? If you're performing the same in both games, they have like very similar mechanics, and you're still performing in like the top 1%, humble brag-ish. Like, how is one like worse and not comparable to Battlefield? Like, I compared.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're still able to perform in the same way by using similar strategies between these two games, what the fuck is the problem?
Yeah, and it brings up the same point of like, oh, you're comparing these two games because they have two very different mechanics and stuff. Mechanically speaking, they're very different games. There's a lot of games out there that have been compared to things like Battlefield and stuff, and they have nothing fucking to do ever with Battlefield. And yet, they still get compared to that. Like Call of Duty and Battlefield, like, those don't have the same mechanics, but they still get compared a lot. You can make a comparison, but the validity of that is different.
Like, 20-second window of a building, and, you know, I just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, okay, is there no, like, mini-map that I could have used to, like, maybe gather the information that guy was up there? Or do we just have to look at that exact window at the exact time that guy wants to shoot me and win that gunfight based off of, like, pure random instinct? So TLDR, I definitely prefer the gameplay loop Battlefield offers over BattleBit. And maybe that'll change because, like I said, maybe BattleBit will offer custom servers where you can sort of get rid of some of the irritating mechanics that I don't prefer. But one thing is for certain, BattleBit and Battlefield, while they're very similar, they're also very dissimilar in ways that make them very different gameplay experiences, and it's totally okay to enjoy both of them. I also think they can both coexist.
So, again, what was the point of this video exactly?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, where he's just like, oh, these two games here, yeah, they're very dissimilar, but they're also very similar, but they also, like, one sucks more because I don't like some of the mechanics for it. It's like, okay.
Like, all I have to say here is, listen here, Captain Cacklefuck, what side are you on? What are you trying to say? What is your point?
His point is from what I can gather, he doesn't like BattleBit because of the fact that it has the more milsim aspects, and he hates that people are comparing it to Battlefield because he cannot get over the cognitive dissonance of that they are actually very similar games, because he has a very
one game does a few things that a lot of people like more than Battlefield.
Yeah, and again, to bring up the the point that he made at the beginning of this, people are having fun with the game.
I still will never get over that. That is the hardest I've laughed all week. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's like 30 seconds, which I think is just like his outro and stuff. So I think we can call it there.
I think we can round that off.
Yeah. So interesting how my first collab went. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Honestly,
that was entertaining. I love that shit. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Again, this is one of those ones where I could never sit down to record it because there was so much that I wanted to talk about, but it was nice to just sit down and kind of bounce ideas off of another person. So yeah, but thank you.
Sometimes that just works better.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for joining me today. If you want to go and check out the channel, I will link it in the description. There'll also be a couple videos on your channel, as well as one on a channel called Riot. I'll probably link them as well. Any final
collaborations with us?
Yeah, hopefully. Any final thoughts on this?
I guess my final thoughts is just don't end up like that guy.
That's a great thing. Anyway, my name is Game21. This video was somehow having all the points but saying nothing. And a piece off.
You better get in line. Won't go another day of wasting any time. I've got